Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, guys and dolls, bears and birds, whatever species you identify as or with, we're here for you. Beamed across 129 different zoo locations around the country, welcome, everyone, to the Lager Logs Points of View with Tom and Stu. Say hello, Stu.
Hello.
Beautiful. Guys, we're mixing up again a little bit tonight, bringing you a very special episode to break up the endless monotony of our season 2 schedule. The blood, the sweat, the beers, the endless gold standard podcasting. Is it worth it? Question for the ages. Well, at least we're getting paid. This is pretty much a Last Beers Watched exclusive episode or extended episode tonight. As me and Mr. I'm Always Stewing a Poo in Sutherland had a bit of an away day last week and took part in the Brewgooders live virtual beer tasting. Met some great guys, tried some great brewskis, and we thought the night or the recollection, the foggy recollection of the night warranted its own mini episode. Stu was the mastermind behind our field trip, and it was him my mom had to pass the £5 and permission slip onto. So I'm going to let him give you guys a bit of the backstory behind the evening and obviously a couple of shout outs. But first, just how are you, Stu, before you dive into that?
I'm good. I've recovered.
You recovered from your man flu?
No, my
hangover. Something else. Same thing.
Let's say Friday was eventful in many different ways. So yes, how did we get here in the first place? I think it was through an advert I saw on my local comic book shop's Facebook page, and it was just like the image of just like 2 pints and like this virtual beer tasting, and I was like, this is fucking right up our alley. Like, I know a boy that likes beer.
Hell yeah.
And I messaged him and he says, no really. So I messaged another boy about beer. He come back going, I'm more of a whiskey guy. So eventually I messaged Tom and he was like, wait.
Hold on. What?
Oh, there's 3 people first, sorry. I asked Andy and Mike and Alex. But
I thought that guy you were speaking about initially, that fit the bill. That sounded like me.
The number 1 guy, my number 1 dude, my go-to guy.
Are you saying I'm not your go-to guy?
Did you think you were?
In my mind, definitely.
I mean,
you're heartbreaking.
You're like,
why are we doing this live? Why can't this be something we spoke about earlier?
I'm sorry, you're like totally the second best person I know in Birmingham. Shout out to my boy Phil.
Thanks. I really appreciate those kind words, Stu. So once you decided to go to your third best guy, what happened after that?
5th. So you came back straight away and was like, fucking yes, let's do it. So
desperate, clearly.
That's it. It was clearly one of these ones where, right, it's a Fife local beer tasting held over Zoom. But I was like, is there a way that we could get these beers to Tom? Thankfully, people organising it were able to, what was it, DPD? Just get it shipped down to yourself in a very efficient manner.
Very efficient, very all done kind of very smoothly. And to be honest, customer service-wise, fantastic. Shout out. Personally, I'd like to add to your story.
I approve it. It's good.
Okay, that's what as long as you approve that. That's okay. I don't want to get off the beaten track here.
Yeah, but that was it. Roll around a couple of weeks later. Beers get delivered to me. Beers get delivered to you. They were from 3 different breweries. So we've had Cool Brewing, which we've spoke about several occasions.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the hooks. I thought, this is a good way to get some of this Cool Brewing beer down to Tom.
Yeah.
So I thought this is a good chance for us to talk about on the podcast. And also, it was a chance for me to kind of tick some off of my like 5 beer bucket list
Mm.
and it was including 2 brewers I haven't had a chance to taste yet. So it was Beef Brewing from Cowden Beef, and then Brewshed, which
Yeah.
was, I think, Lime Killings. And yeah, that was it. This was definitely like, this is my first beer tasting event. And it was probably better to be over Zoom, because
Mm.
you could be a little bit more relaxed. You're on your home turf. You could be dressed comfortable. You don't need to, I don't know, get the vibe out of a room and feel out of place. Like, we're
Yeah.
all at home. We've all managed to get the fucking camera working on our laptops.
We all don't have to wear trousers. Perfect for me.
Exactly.
Fantastic. I had non-clean, so it was great.
So, you just have
But
to be
yeah,
careful how you stand up, and we're all good.
I had to. I rolled to the toilet every time. Obviously, I needed to
Yeah.
personally break the seal, so
Oh, we heard
we
you.
were okay.
Aye.
Did
That
you hear the
laminate
roll?
flooring.
It's quite heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Aye.
yeah. I was gonna
Feel
say
sorry for those neighbours.
it's marble, obviously marble flooring in here, so yeah, quite noisy. Yeah, as you were saying, man. Yeah, I think it was a great opportunity hearing you talk about the local brewers and obviously kind of raving about certain beers that they've put out. It was nice to kind of finally put flavors or put tastes to the names that I'd heard.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic to kind of finally kind of get to grips with a few myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And what was it? I think it was advertised as a 2-hour tasting
yep,
with 6 beers, a wee
yep.
quiz thrown in at the end. And
Foolish
what?
on the night before work, I would say personally.
Aye. I felt bad for you, but
But we didn't think
yeah.
much about that. We just thought about the night.
Hey, let's just take it easy.
Let's take.
6 beers. It doesn't mean you need to drink all 6.
No, of course not. We didn't. Obviously, it was a sip each. It was 6 shots of beer. Really, I would say personally, it's
It
kind of
didn't
what
look like that in the video.
that.
I'm sure there's video evidence, Tom.
Shit.
Yeah. So, are you wanting like our impressions of the event, or do you want to talk beer? Have I covered it
Let's.
good enough?
You've done amazingly well,
Lifted the fog?
buddy. Yeah, we're just we're just kind of freestyling tonight, buddy. And that was awesome. Yeah. I think if we jump into kind of the beers first, kind of what we were sampling, what we had to go on. The first thing we had was Cool Brewing's 80s Revival, which was, if I remember, 4.6%. And I think for me this might have been the best of the night. It was one I really, really
What
liked.
style of beer was it?
It was so it was
An 80 shilling.
80 shilling. There you go. Thanks, man. You're always my safety
You're
net.
welcome.
But it tasted to me like kind of a brown ale stout hybrid. It was kind of light, sweet, the best of both worlds, really, and it blew me away. Like, it was really, really good and really, really unique in terms of flavor and kind of what it was offering. So, yeah, fantastic beer. You like that one, right?
Yes, it surprised me again. I remember buying it last year at kind of like one of those little farmers markets, and just not knowing what a shilling ale was. And I think my initial impression was like it's got that real iron taste to it, where it's
I do
almost.
remember you saying about that.
I think it was either that or I've mixed my opinions up with another beer, but I was like, man, it's like I'm drinking like a pint full of pennies.
I do remember that specific
Yes.
quote from you. Yeah,
I
that
keep
sold me. That sold me
But to be
completely.
honest, I was pleasantly surprised when I had it again, because I had that doubt and I took a drink. It was nice, dark, and then that surprisingly sweet aftertaste. And it just like, man, this is actually like really refreshing. Like, there's not real any bitterness. It's just kind of got that nice sweet kick to it. And I thought, man, I need to take my time here. But man, I would actually just have this entire bottle. And to be honest, it set me up again for future. Like, if I'm going to go have pick up another more, a couple more from Cool Brewing, and there's opportunity to have an 80s revival, I'll definitely pick it up.
Go with this one. Yeah, definitely. But personally for me, I would as well. As I say, we've only sampled, or I personally only sampled a couple from Cool Brewing, but they've both been really interesting and very kind of distinct tasting beers. So yeah, it's a thumbs up from me and Stu on that one. I think next up we had Beef Brewing's Black Lager. Now, this
Yes.
was, I think, the most interesting one of the night for me in terms of it's something that I didn't even have anything to compare it to, kind of in my mind or in my kind of taste, files. There was nothing there really to compare it to. It was really interesting. It had like the texture of lager, but it had a really smoky taste. And for me, the back end, I couldn't really describe it at the time, but I remember kind of thinking in the days afterwards, it was like a cider in terms of the crispness and the sourness on the back end. That's what the impression, but there was so much going on with it, such a kind of complex drink, and I think it was 4.5. So again, I think it was one of those beers that the flavors really kind of did the talking for it. Do you remember that one? You liked that one?
Yeah, it was one of those ones where I was like, when you looked at it, I was slightly intimidated.
Yeah,
it was just like the fact that it was this. I do like the fact that these labels, they had it printed out, but then there's also like a Sharpie pen's being written on it, adding like the volume, and then just like black written above lager, and I was like, "Whoa, this is intimidating." Black lager? I've not heard of black lager. What do you mean, black lager?
Yeah, combination.
And when you poured it, it's like, right enough. That was a pint of the black stuff, and it was really. I remember, like, it was drinkable. There wasn't really any negative, and there wasn't really any surprises, but it was definitely part of this being a tasting was to try shit you would never normally try.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, definitely. I knew going in that probably there weren't going to be all drinks that you'd kind of fall in love with straight away.
Aye.
But you were going to get a real opportunity to kind of stretch your legs and kind of see what was out there. And I think the best thing about nights like that is finding kind of maybe like a new favorite in terms of like a category of beer or a new taste that you really like. And I think it was almost like a kind of a showcase for some kind of really interesting, alchemist like, combinations of kind of taste. So, even though I mean, again, I don't know whether it be one that I kind of drink a lot of or one that I kind of really liked, but I just found it really, really interesting and kind of a very brave or bold combination of flavors.
So, it would be one of those ones where I would probably buy it if I saw it out in the wild.
Definitely, yeah.
Like,
definitely would.
Man, I need to tell fuck about this and try it again to kind of get that, right, this is just me and you, not you and 5 other beers. Let's just try you and see what we think.
Showdown, one-on-one.
And I think that was the beauty of the beer tasting was that the brewers were on the call with us.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like you had fucking Dr. Frankenstein there as well, putting the science behind it. So what made me do this?
I don't remember him being there. Was that after I left?
Maybe. But no, it was definitely great because I think it was Ian at Beef Brewing, and he just went into so much detail about what he'd done, the thought behind it, how he labels his tins after like song lyrics, and just getting the story behind the beer just made you appreciate it that much more in the moment.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, definitely. I think it was good to kind of really see the behind the scenes in terms of kind of how the beer's made and what the thought process was. And yeah, you're definitely right, mate. It was nice to kind of have the creators there to talk about it. Yeah, fantastic, fantastic opportunity. And I think after that we tried Brew Shed's first brewski of the evening, Bruce Haven Coffee Smoked Porter,
Yes.
the smelliest beer of the night in a good way. Real smoke taste. I remember
Mhm.
almost like a whiskey kind of
Hmm.
heat to it, maybe an
Aye.
acquired taste, possibly.
Yeah.
But I had flashbacks to my time in Madrid when I was eating a lot of black chorizo a few years ago. Very similar sooty taste, and my insatiable lust for it was to the point of me one
Tom,
day
you've mentioned it.
visiting
I'm
what must
sorry.
have been.
You've said it like twice now on the podcast. Could there just be a chance that the pizza was burnt? It sounds like it was burnt, mate. I don't
No,
think it was like a
no,
local
it was. It
speciality.
was. It was a local speciality. It was extra spicy black chorizo. Okay.
They burnt the doner meat cheese pizza. I'm sorry.
Still holding a grudge against it. But basically, what it kind of boils down to is that I visited the unsafest theme park in Spain. It was like New Jersey's Action Park, but with a
Okay.
lot more Inquisition. And packing a picnic that consisted just purely of chorizo, and I ended up hurling violently after one
Hmm.
particular ride. It was like a spinner or like a roundabout, but on a huge scale. And I remember thinking the whole time, because it lasted ages for some reason, that my belt was going to explode. And I was kissing goodbye to my days as a walking, talking, living doll, or I was going to puke on my then girlfriend, but I couldn't be sure of the ricochet or the angle I was going to blow
Hmm.
out because of the G force. And I thought I might just end up puking on myself, which was obviously not an option. So eventually I got off, dazed and confused, and had to blow one in a nearby bush. And it was like giving birth orally to a Victorian cooker. I felt awful.
Fuck's
Then
sake.
5 minutes later, I jumped back on the smoked chorizo to fill up at that
The
point,
void.
fill my empty stomach. Yeah. So the taste of beer was, I mean, this particular beer, it was a little bit sweet for me personally. I don't know how you feel, but that's
Yeah.
what I got from it.
To me, it was definitely like this is the most intimidating drink of the night
Yes.
because we
Yes.
were already bitten with the purple panther porter from before,
Yeah,
and I
dude.
thought,
Yeah.
man, that porter was pish. And now
Bad taste in the mouth, isn't it?
there's it's another one like these beers. It's like a Russian roulette. One of them's gonna be lethal, and just the fact that it's like I had smoked. It said coffee and porter.
Mm.
Fuck. Jesus, this is going to be the test. And it was surprisingly drinkable because when we were doing the tasting, I was able just to kind of just
Yeah.
sip away. There wasn't any real harshness. You got the smoky flavor. I think at the time I definitely kind of recognized the coffee,
Yeah,
and
definitely. I remember all the flavors kind of hit me straight away, like the kind of the coffee and the smokiness, and it was really kind of it was quite. I think it might have been, as I say, probably the most fragrant beer, but it was maybe also the most intense in terms of
yes,
the kind of one very strong area of flavor kind of hitting you as you were drinking it, for
hmm
sure. But yeah, I think I was kind of going back and forth on it as I was drinking. I remember, but yeah, again, maybe not one that I'd kind of have a session of myself, but really
aye,
interesting beer, kind of well made, very kind of strong, flavoursome, interesting beer.
aye, and that's the kind of beers you want to get from your uh, local brewers. Just some weird experimental shit that
Definitely,
you'd
mate.
never
Yeah,
expect and you would never fucking find in the shelves of Sainsbury's.
yeah.
You want to get like the strange underground shit. It's like, what do you mean? Like you chucked a pot of coffee into this?
Yeah. Literally. Yeah,
Like
pot of
mad
coffee into it.
scientists, Tom.
Madness. Yeah, like the skills behind it and the kind of thinking behind it are just, genius, really, to
Mhm.
be honest, and very interesting. But yeah, very, very kind of distinct again, as we've said, distinct beer. I think the next one we had was Cool Brewing's Emperor's New Clothes, which was a New England IPA. This one was
Yes.
like 6.8%. But I really like this one as well. I remember the pineapple kind of flavour, the fruity
Aye.
flavour really came through, but very light and
Mm-hmm.
smooth. A little bit cloudy, but yeah, really good, really refreshing. I think it was a good, but it was kind of a beer on the very kind of opposite end of the spectrum compared to the previous beer, and it was kind of nice. I think we had it at the right time. It was quite
Yeah.
refreshing, and it kind of worked perfectly, kind of after the darkness or the bitterness of the previous beer. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really liking that one as well.
Aye, that was it. That was like the last beer I had to try from Cool Brewing to kind of complete the set, as
Yeah.
far as I believe. I think there were six beers altogether from them that they make regularly.
Mm.
And yeah, I've been wanting to try this one for a while. Obviously, I've kind of developed a taste for these NE IPAs just through doing this podcast, really.
Yeah.
And then I thought, right, this is my local brewer's take at it. Let's try it. And it was like fruity. You got the smell straight away. You kind of got that nice balance of the taste and the
Kind of
bitterness.
delicate taste, almost like
Yeah.
not too kind of heavy. It was really kind of light and nice though, really kind of
Mhm.
flavoursome.
And it's misleading in the sense that it's at, what was it, 6.8%?
Yeah,
Like
which
that's higher than you would imagine
yeah,
because it doesn't come across like that. It definitely
not at all.
feels
No.
almost like, oh, this is a good session drink, but with that
Yeah.
volume, you're not going to get far into that
Yeah.
session.
You'll be saying
You got
goodnight pretty
fucking
soon. Yeah.
falling over the fucking the wee disposable barbecue that you've sent out and fucking turning your leg into black chorizo.
I would, I'd happily have a nibble on that. That's absolutely fine. Is that an invitation, Stu?
It's not.
Okay, that's fine.
You will
Right, the
not be
next
pitching a
beer.
tent in Ashgrove.
No, it's second person to tell me this now. What is it? I don't understand it. What is it about me that says, please don't let this man, camp in your garden? I just don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm not gonna take it personally though, honestly, I
Moving on.
promise. So we did another New England IPA shortly after that. That was the
Mm-hmm.
Beast Ruins Dance Monkey. Bit stronger, 7.29. This one very interesting, like not kind of what
Aye.
I was expecting from a New England IPA. It had like almost a nutty, kind of almondy quality
Yeah.
to it. Very smooth still, but yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting compared to the previous one at
Mm-hmm.
all. What do you think?
Well, that was it. It was a great to kind of see that variety. And right, this is kind of one style of beer
Yeah.
with two brewers' takes on it, and
Mm.
they're just really different. Like I was kind of just expecting to be hit with the same flavors, but then it was like it was a different concoction, and obviously a different volume, but still just really tasty little drink. I think between the Emperor's New Clothes and Dan's Monkey, they were ones like I both finished like during the tasting, like whilst we were talking about it in the group. Like the rest, I would pour a tumbler, have my tumbler, and then put it aside and think if I'd go back to it later.
Yeah.
Whereas those two, I'd just sunk, and that's maybe
Straight away, yeah.
where things started to go south for me. It's like, wait a minute, you sank both of the strongest beers.
Is that when you went on the chat and you said that you really like boobies and bums, but you like beer more? Because I remember that, and I was thinking that's a bit too much. As a first impression of someone, I think that's probably something you maybe should have kept to yourself just the first time meeting people. But second and third's
And
okay.
I thought I was messaging one of the guys that hosted the event. I never knew that was out to the group.
That was the group because I saw it as well. So
Mm.
I was sickened, thinking, what is my co-host doing? He's letting the side down.
Hey, that was a good thing as well. I don't think we embarrassed each other. We were all right. Never said anything gravely. Oh, you're waving me off. Okay. What was the next beer, Tom?
Right. The last.
I feel like they're playing me
one.
off, lads. The lights are getting dimmed. The music's playing at the Oscars. Is it off stage left? Okay.
The the last beer of the night was Brew Shed again with I think I'm pronouncing it properly, the La Senne Belgian IPA.
Hmm.
This was a 6. Interesting because I never had kind of I've had a few Belgian beers, but never a Belgian IPA.
Yeah.
Very frothy, kind of
Yeah.
kind of had a wheaty kind of Hogard
Yeah,
taste to
aye.
it a little bit, but I think it was the one, not the only one, but the one that was the most obvious to me, where it tasted like its strength. You know what I mean? It kind of
Hmm.
hit you like the 6% really hit. I think a lot of the other ones previously of the night, we were saying they were like ninja beers, like
Yes,
they
they
kind of
snuck up
crept
on
up
you.
on you a little bit.
Hmm.
But this one kind of straight away, you tasted the kind of the strength of it, and yeah, it was interesting. It reminded me of like the Duell or Duvel, you know,
Yeah.
the old Robert Duvel. Similar to that, quite frothy, but nice, interesting consistency to it. What do you
Hmm.
reckon?
I felt like I was opening like a tin of like Diet Pepsi.
Yeah,
I just when you poured it and I just
yeah,
sat and stared at the glass for half an hour, just waiting for the head to settle on it, and then I realised I'm just as quick drinking this one from the bottle. It was like a bottle rocket. It just looked like somebody had shook in the last bottle and handed it to me. It was fucking crazy. It was quite a harsh drink. Like it was just as we mentioned, really bubbly, so really gassy, and obviously far more bitter than like the any IPA we had before it.
This one. Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a kind of left turn in terms of flavors.
Yes,
Definitely
it was
after coming
definitely
off those two,
bringing you back to earth.
definitely after the two New England IPAs for sure. But yeah, I think it was again very interesting, very distinct in terms of the consistency. Um, but yeah, I mean, to sum up the beers, what I mean, again, I think I made pretty obvious what my favourite one was of the evening. What was yours, Stu?
I I would say the Cool Bruins Emperor's New Clothes. Uh, just
Interesting,
just
interesting.
because I have developed a taste for these
Yeah,
New England IPAs. It's one I've been wanting to try for a while. It didn't
yeah,
disappoint me. Whilst Dance Monkey was the same style of beer, it wasn't the taste I was expecting,
yeah.
but it wouldn't put me off from having another. So it would definitely the New England IPAs would probably be my first and second place. So,
Awesome. Yeah.
what about you, Tom?
Yeah, as I said, I think it got to be the '80s revival for me. Just it just kind of ticked all the boxes in terms of what I really like in a beer, and reminded me of a couple of my favorite types of beer. But definitely, but yeah, as I say, I think the New England IPAs for me probably joint, you know, second place definitely in
Okay.
terms of ones that I really enjoyed. As I say, I think down to the show, I've developed a kind of taste for that particular beer. You know, just you and me kind of talking, and it's something that I've really got into. Kind of, from talking with you and
Mhm.
checking out, you know, different kind of stretching my legs in terms of beers. So again, for
Yeah.
me, it was you know really enjoyable. But as I say, like, the rest of them really was just you know very unique list of beers. And
Mhm.
again, really kind of nice to kind of both of us to kind of test ourselves a little bit in terms of flavors and kind of stretch our legs. So
Mhm.
yeah, really good. If we didn't say it before, yeah, I think it was Robin. Shout out to Robin, who was the lady who kind of organised sending over the beers
Yes.
to me. Yeah, fantastic service, and we really appreciate it. And I didn't have any that exploded on me, so
Bonus.
a bonus.
Yeah,
I
and
would think so.
I did like when Robin was periodically on the Zoom call.
Yeah,
I think she was
popping
bottling
in.
IPAs at the same time, so
Yeah.
we got like a little sneak peek of like their home setup, and it was just like a sea of beer bottles.
It
Just
was yeah a lot of beer, and I think the temptation would be for me very overwhelming. I don't think I'd be able to make it personally,
yeah.
Stu, as a beer bottler.
Hmm.
Maybe a beer butler. I think that sounds pretty good.
Maybe we should give a shout out to the organisers. Obviously,
Do it, man.
the Brewgooders. So
Yeah,
is a trio made up of Jeff. Oh no, I'm blanking on his second name. It's Jeff, Colin.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yes, Jeff,
That sounds
Colin,
about right.
and Andrew.
Andrew. If we do mess it up, we will put it in the show post.
Editing will just sweep all of this away, but the
You
video never
oh you
lies.
you edit this? Oh, no idea. You could save me a lot of time and effort.
Right to censor, my man.
Uh, thank God. So yeah, guys, I think we'll put a cap on that.
No,
Right.
let's take the cat back off for another
Let's-
couple of minutes.
Okay,
Just
hold on.
reverse
Take it
that
back
motion.
off. I don't know what that sound was. That was the sound of a man having a nervous breakdown. That wasn't the sound of a bottle cap. I could probably do a better one.
But no, where's that mute button? Like, okay, Tom, rein it in. Did you put 2 sugars in that tea?
3.
Jesus Christ. It explains it all now. But no, I think we ended up having a good Zoom call with like a cracking bunch of people.
Definitely.
Let's see, there was 50, I think roughly on average there was 15 people in that call for the majority.
Yeah.
And as we said, it was like a 2-hour call originally planned, and it ended up being like a 3-hour.
It was a bit of a long one.
It just, like anything, you have 6 beers and the wheels just fall off.
Are you counting our Skype after party to that?
Yeah, see
that time length or
like, even longer then. And that Skype after party had to get ended abruptly because I started getting motion sickness. And what motion sickness could I be having? I'm just sitting in my conservatory, finishing off all the beers that are left over from the tasting, thinking, what could go wrong? You did have a full, like a big Chinese buffet before it, then started necking some strong beer.
You did the right thing. You did the right
thing. Drinking some dark beer, then throwing in some really fizzy, frothy beer. Surely that's not all going to mix together and go wrong. I remember you sitting and telling me, he's like, oh, this has been a great night. Oh, these lads are really good. I fucking had a great time talking to like Jeff, David, Mark. And I was like, aye, Tom, I need to hang up and leave. And just cut you off. And then just...
I mean, what do you expect, your third go-to guy? I mean, maybe I'd taken too much of your time at that point, Stu, and obviously I apologise. You know what I mean?
If I could have left a cardboard stand, I would have. But, it was just like, right, I've had a few beers, had a lot of food to eat, let's just lie down in a nice dark room and everything will stop spinning. It'll be good.
Pass out, man. Yeah.
And then it would just like, it's not good. It's getting faster. Things are zooming in and out of focus. And I had to do the unfortunate thing of have a little talk to the toilet. That's the nicest way I could put it.
Which language did you use?
Oh, I was talking in tongues. And just...
Oh no, what a waste of beer.
I know, it was like, oh, there goes 20 quid's worth of craft beer. Just ejected.
Poor lad. You did all you could, mate, to, prevent this. You lined your stomach, you took your time, but sometimes it happens, man.
Yeah. And to be honest, it wasn't a downer on the event. It was like, that night was priceless. Like the 20 quid that we spent to kind of have that time talking to the brewers, getting to see like Mark Duncan's funky Star Wars room.
That was awesome.
Robin showing us the bottling plant that they've got.
Amazing.
Just hearing all the stories.
Yeah.
Like David fucking cursing us all about stealing tumblers from pubs. Like just all these random wee things that I'll remember about that night.
Yeah. There was, there's so much, I say for like 3 hours or something. And yeah, it was just really nice to kind of meet a bunch of like-minded people and shoot the shit and talk about beer and get a little bit silly. It was fantastic.
Felt like it was like the first time you're like in a pub in a while. Like it's just you in a noisy room with a lot of people and you're all drinking. And like you're just kind of listening to different conversations, different people telling completely different stories. People from all different walks of life. and we're all just there with that common connection of funky beer.
That's a beautiful way to put it, Stu. I couldn't have put it better myself.
You probably could have, but you're just being polite.
No, I think that was a really good way of putting it, dude. Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but that is exactly how it felt. Yeah, and it was nice to kind of, after a long time, I think for everyone on the call to not have that experience, or since they'd had that experience, it was nice to kind of finally have an experience very, very similar to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely fantastic evening, and hope to do it again very soon.
Yes.
So I think that's it. If there's anything else you'd like to say, Stu, I'm going to wind it down. If that's okay.
I'll drop one last thing. No, it's not got anything to do with me projectile vomiting, but we must have struck a chord with the Brewgooders because we've been invited to join them on their podcast.
Woo!
Now, by the time this episode goes live, our appearance on their podcast will be over. I like to imagine we've done spectacularly.
Of course.
We killed it.
Of course.
Great laugh. They loved us.
Possibly.
As they should. Tom never embarrassed us. So just
no chance.
Chef's kiss. So that they do their podcasts in a way where it's a Facebook live stream. It's I imagine we're doing it over Zoom, but it'll be then getting projected onto their Facebook page live, and then the video is just stored on there. So when you hear this on our podcast, if you look up the Brewgooders on Facebook, I think the Brewgooders, the League of Beer and Comics, or Comics and Beer, and you should find like the archived podcast that features me and your boy Tom. So
I've just realised that people can't see the hand gestures that I'm doing, and I need to somehow kind of put this
snap. It's
into
good. I'll put this bit on Instagram. The entire episode, just
put this
5 seconds snap.
Because I've been working on this, so please put that in. Yeah, guys, as you said, we've been invited on there somehow, miraculously, after our performance last week. And join us there to check out us, basically, and them and us,
Yep.
So, guys, thank you for listening tonight. If you've grown fond of us over the last 30 minutes or so, talk about love at first sight, join us on our social media. It's at the Lagerlogs on Instagram, Twitter. Stu, what other pages should our love listeners be checking out? Obviously, you shouted out the homies, but it's on Facebook, right? That's where they're going.
They have their links on Twitter and Instagram as well. Just search the Brewgooders,
check that out,
and you'll be able to find them across those 3 social media platforms. A shout out to the brewers, Cool Brewing Company, Beer Shed. Sorry, is it Beer Shed or the Brew Shed?
Brew Shed.
Brew Sheds and
Beef Brewing.
Beef Brewing.
Yeah, that's Beef, BEATH, not the meat.
Not BEEF.
Just to verify, just to put that out there. So check that out, guys. Likely back to our regularly scheduled programming next week in terms of what you'll find over here on the show. I know what you're thinking, 57 channels and nothing on, but please tune into our next episode, and we promise to put your podcast license to good use. You can keep your big game permit in your wallet, though. We only play Travel Connect 4 here at Pints of View HQ. That's everything. The only thing left to say is, bon voyage, booze hounds. Say goodbye, Stu.
Goodbye, Stu.
Let's have another.